Hello, I'm David Chester with 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz. This week, get everything you need to know in 90 seconds at 9 o'clock with news of government budgets and new house construction. In Washington, the new administration is proposing an austere federal budget. It is one that will slash spending sharply, especially for programs involving their social safety net. It will increase military spending by about 3%, and that's far less than the campaign promises, and will cut tax rates, especially for high-income earners. At the same time, it promises to balance their budget by 2027. It achieves all this by assuming economic growth in nominal terms will rise quickly from 4.1% this year to 4.4% next year, and then a stable 5% growth thereafter. The initial market reaction is scepticism of these assumptions. Meanwhile, the US housing market is still showing some strength. The volume of sales of new houses in April are 11% higher than the same month a year ago, even as they slip slightly from the record high levels in March. The median price of a newly constructed American house was $442,000. But things are starting to unravel in traditional retail. The latest sign is that rating agencies are downgrading debt for companies with exposure to retail malls as their anchor tenants struggle and start pulling back from these locations. In Australia, one consequence of their recent federal budget will likely be a sharp increase in the number of houses being built. The first independent modelling of some budget measures shows that as many as 100,000 new dwellings will be built in the next 4 years. That will involve construction activity of almost $5 billion and create an estimated 5,000 permanent jobs. This increased activity will mean that New Zealand won't be able to look to Australia for workers or construction firms. We'll be competing with their higher demand. The New Zealand budget will have an expected focus on increasing our housing supply and will be released tomorrow. In New York, the US Treasury 10-year yield is higher again today at 2.29%. The yield inversion, that's the 5-10, in China got flatter overnight. It's still there, but about 4 basis points. The price of oil is slightly firmer today as well. US crude benchmark is now just on $51.50 a barrel, while the Brent benchmark is just over 54. The new US budget calls for halving their strategic oil reserve now that the US is no longer reliant on imports. At the same time, OPEC is expected to extend their output cut agreement. Gold is up slightly too at $1,255 an ounce. Meanwhile, the Kiwi dollar has joined the rising trend and is now at 70.2 US cents. On the crosses, the Kiwi is up to 93.8 Aussie cents and 72.7 Euro cents. The TWI is at 74.4, and that's a one-month high. And Bitcoin has had a wild ride over the last 24 hours. Yesterday it reached $2,273 an ounce, then fell by almost 10%, and today is back up to near yesterday's high. I'm David Chaston. That was 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz.